Dear students, today I am going to speak about biological carcinogens and de-differentiation of cancer cells. As you know, cancer arises from abnormal changes or transformation of cell. Transformed cells divide continuously without control and spread to the rest of the body. Carcinogen is a substance having the ability to damage the genome and to disrupt the cellular metabolism, rendering the cell to be sensitive for cancer development. We have studied already carcinogens. So in my previous video, I discussed about physical carcinogens, X-rays, UV rays, etc., chemical carcinogens. Today I am going to explain you about biological carcinogens. Excuse me. There are 4 types of biological carcinogens. The foremost one is viruses. Viruses induce cancer directly, which accounts for 16 to 20% of worldwide cancers. Just imagine. So it is the main causative factor for many cancers. Some bacterial infection may link it to cancer. They are not causing directly. They may bring some reactions, and thereby they are they are the causative factors for the cancers. And we have already discussed about fungal toxins. The fungal toxins also is highly carcinogenic. Then parasitic infections, the parasites of protozoa, platyhelminthes, ascalmenthes, also their infection may lead to cancer development. Let us study one by one. Viruses. Both DNA and RNA viruses have been shown to be capable of causing cancer in humans. Viral infections lead to malignant tumors. These are called oncoviruses. So, DNA viruses having the genetic material DNA, RNA viruses are retroviruses having genetic material RNA, and the cancer causing these viruses are called oncoviruses. Oncoviruses insert their oncogene to host cell or activate the host cell oncogene and bring cell transformation. They have oncogenes. Oncoviruses have oncogenes. They are called viral oncogenes. You may wonder from how they got these oncogenes. So these oncogenes are similar to that of the cellular proto-oncogenes or cellular oncogenes, what we see in human. These viral oncogenes show the presence of the several human genes homologue. Okay, so these viruses, during their infections, they might have, because they use host cell for their multiplication, that time they might have picked up these proto-oncogenes into their genome, and this proto-oncogene is converted into oncogene, and now it is become viral oncogene. So several such example we can give. So that is the similar to the Src oncogene, we can see viral Src. Similar to the cellular mic, there will be viral mic oncogene. So these oncogenes during the infection, they may cause the cancer formation. All types of sarcoma result from oncoviruses. Viruses contribute to the pathogenesis of human malignancy through the integration of viral genetic elements into the host DNA. In DNA viruses, they directly insert their DNA to host DNA and modify the host DNA, and so that leading to uncontrolled division. Whereas RNA viruses first transcribe RNA into DNA, that is called reverse transcription, and then insert the genetic material into the host. So that is the DNA virus they directly insert their DNA into the host DNA and bring the genetic change. Whereas RNA virus, so there is it insert RNA into the cytoplasm, and there is a process called reverse transcription where RNA is transcribed into DNA, and this DNA get incorporated into the host genome. So these are the way how viral genes are get expressed in the host. So inserted viral genetic elements or genes are expressed by the host. They may disrupt the normal host genes required for the control the mitosis. They may activate oncogenes, or they may inactivate tumor suppressor genes, or they may alter the DNA repair process, and all these leading to upregulation of the cell division, no control over mitosis, leading to carcinogenesis. These are some cancer causing viruses: papilloma virus, hepatitis C virus, hepatitis B virus. So these are these are the viruses responsible for the cancer. So I have listed out here some important viruses. So they are causing the cancer caused by these viruses. Human T lymphocyte virus, this is a retrovirus, RNA virus, is responsible for 0.03% of cancers, especially adult T cell leukemia. Herpes simplex herpes RNA virus, it is responsible for uterine and cervical cancer. Epstein-Barr virus, it's a RNA virus. It is responsible for several cancers such as nasopharyngeal tumors, Hodgkin's lymphoma, Burkitt's lymphoma. Hepatitis B virus, HBV, it's a DNA virus. It is bringing the liver cirrhosis, and that may lead to liver cancer. HCV, the hepatitis C virus, it's a RNA virus. So both these together contribute almost 5% of the cancers. So thereby one has to be very careful about the infection of hepatitis. So that may lead to the liver cancer. Then human papilloma virus, HPV, it's a DNA virus. It is the 90% of cervical cancer because of this HPV. So 90% of cervical cancer contain this DNA. So it is contributing 5.2% of cancers. Cervical cancer is one of the leading cancer in Indian women. Human herpes virus 8, it is also contributing 1% of cancer. It is capsus sarcoma and the tumor of the skin. So this is about the cancer and the viruses which bring those cancer. So I was telling you about human papilloma virus, that is bringing the cervical cancer. So this HPV, it is inducing or introducing the two genes, oncogenes, E6 and E7 genes, and these genes, they inhibit host cell tumor suppressor genes RB and P53. PRB and P53 is the one, they are regulating the cell cycle. The transition from G1 phase to S phase is regulated by these two, the gene product. So if there is some mistake or some the cell is not ready, then the cell is arrested in G1 phase, not going to the S phase, where in the presence of these genes. When these genes are suppressed, whatever the damage, whatever the condition, the cell progresses into S phase and it is undergo division. So this is what you can see, the P53, it is it is bringing the apoptotic pathway that also inhibited, thereby the cancerous development. So HPV is responsible for several cancer, anal, vulvar, vaginal, penile, oral cancer, and the main one is the cervical cancer. So cervical cancer can be early diagnosed by the pap smear test. So pap smear test is the smear taken from the cervix of the woman. It is when stained, and histological staining and observed under microscope, you can see the changes in the cell types. This is the normal cell types. This is the low grade dysplasia. This is high grade dysplasia. So this is the indication whether there is the cancerous development is or there is a changes in the cervix. So it is the early detection through this pap smear test. So our immune system is the one it is not allowing the cancer to progress into tumor. So every second in our body, hundreds of cancer cells are produced, but our strong immune system destroys these cancer cells. So cancer results when human system fails to recognize and respond. This is the concept immunosurveillance proposed by Burnett in 1950, and he awarded Nobel in 1960. It is the immune system consists of T lymphocytes, natural killer cells, macrophages, complement system, killer T lymphocytes. All these in concert or together, or they may be independently, they destroy cancer cells whenever the cancer cells originate in our body. So viral infection may result in immune dysfunction. So these cells are not function properly during viral infection, may lead to you can see the early tumors. So several human cancers are because of this. Now, how bacteria can be linked to cancer, especially I have showed here Helicobacter pylori. That's the main causative factor for the gastric cancer, stomach cancer. It is leading to peptic ulcer or gastric ulcer that may lead to the gastric cancer. So this Helicobacter pylori infection has been linked to adenocarcinoma of stomach. Chronic inflammation induced by the infection may lead to cell proliferation and production of mutagenic free radicals and N-nitrose compounds. So this infection, it is increases the inflammation because of the immune system reacts severely about the infection. In the process, lot of free radicals are produced. These free radicals and inflammatory conditions may bring chromosomal changes, DNA damage, and that may lead to the tumorogenesis or tumor formation. This is how bacteria can be linked to the carcinogenesis. Similarly, so many parasitic infection may lead to the cancers. So blood fluke, that is similar to liver fluke, it is belongs to the phylum Platyhelminthes, its infection, and the strongyloids are the hookworms, their infection. Then trypanosoma, the protozoa, the flagellate protozoa, its infection may lead to the cancer. This is the list. You will find different species of blood fluke: Schistosoma hematobium, it is Schistosoma japonicum, then Schistosoma manasoni. All these they bring disease schistosomiasis in sub-Saharan Africa, and they may lead to urinary bladder cancer, colorectal cancer, adenocarcinoma. So this is all these because of this parasitic infection leading to the inflammation and overreaction of the immune system, inflammation, oxidative stress on this, leading to the development of the cancer. So, similarly, the liver fluke species, they are responsible for the cholangiocarcinoma. Then Plasmodium species, the Plasmodium vivax, Plasmodium falciparum. In Southeast Asia, they are, these Plasmodium bring malaria. They also linked to the Burkitt's lymphoma. Then the Trypanosoma cruzi in South America, so it brings Chagas disease. It is also responsible for gastrointestinal cancer. and the hookworm species Strongylites. So they are responsible for lymphoma, and you can see the colon cancer, adenocarcinoma. So this is how parasitic infection leading to cancer. Then, as I said earlier, the fungal toxins, aflatoxins of Aspergillus flavis, Aspergillus parasiticum, their development in the coconut, you can see here, or else in the maize, peanuts, what we consume, we have to be very careful about these fungal contaminated food items. So they contain a powerful carcinogens called aflatoxins. The people who can be exposed these aflatoxins by eating these contaminated products, farmers and agricultural works, they also exposed to inhaling the dust of these or the spores of these fungus. So these aflatoxins B1 and B2 are a potent liver carcinogen, and they may bring hepatocellular carcinoma. So that's why the fungal contaminated dairy products sometimes, or else consuming meat, or else the dairy products from animals that ate contaminated feed, all these are adding aflatoxin to our body. This is the overview how the cancer is caused. It is the stress. So there are so many environmental factors, radiations, chemicals, and our diet, the vitamin deficiency, then the viral infections, then you can see the bacterial infections. All these, they bring inflammatory reactions, increased inflammatory cytokines. Then you can see there is a they may bring epigenetic changes, then vitamin deficiency, then the suppressing the tumor suppressor genes, then immune dysfunctions leading to cancer. So it is not the single event, the many events contribute together leading to the cancer. So now, de-differentiation of cancer cells. What is de-differentiation? Before going to understand de-differentiation, we should understand first differentiation. It's a phenomena you will find during development, embryonic development. So the cells, they become structurally and functionally specialized, allowing the formation of distinct cell types such as neurons, muscle cells. You will see this. These are the stem cells or blastomeres in the blastula. They are different direction of development. Some blastomeres develop into fat cells, some bone cell, some neurons, some epithelial cells, some immune cells, some muscles, like that. You can see this is called differentiation. So structure and functional specificity depends on the proteins cell synthesize. For example, the red blood cells RBC, they can able to carry oxygen, but other cells they do not, because the gene get activated and they produces hemoglobin that accumulated, and that brings this specialization to this RBC. So even though all these cells they are from the same stem cell or embryonic cell, the genes different genes are expressed in these cells, and they differentiated that brings the specialization in these cells, and these are all because of the signals they receive from other cells or from the environment. So because of that, they differentiate into different kinds of cell types. Okay. Early concept was that differentiation is unidirectional. Once a cell differentiate, it cannot reprogrammed, it cannot come back. This is what. But 2012, the Nobel Prize in Medicine, Sir John B. Gordon and Shinya Emanka, for the discovery of the mature differentiated cell can be reprogrammed or de-differentiated to become pluripotent cells or stem cells. This may be either naturally, or else they can be done using some the chemicals. So this reprogramming can be seen even in the development process during the tadpole development in the amphibia, tadpole having the tail. So these tail get the tail cells, they get de-differentiated and going to reprogrammed later. So this is what you can see, the de-differentiation, that is you will find in the nature. So the cancer cells are de-differentiated cells. De-differentiation is a mechanism for making mature cells into mesenchyme like stem cells by the loss of the phenotypic specialization. The process of de-differentiation is involved in both initiation and promotion of carcinogenesis. So you will find here embryonic cell, it differentiated into stem cells. This stem cell may give rise to adipocyte or fibroblast or osteoblast. So this is the unidirectional, this is called differentiation. So sometimes these cells, differentiated cells, they de-differentiate or they reprogrammed into stem cells. So either fibroblast cell reprogrammed into mesenchymal stem cells. So this is what you can see, this is what happening in during the process of carcinogenesis. Many malignant tumors is de-differentiated immature cells bearing little or no resemblance to the normal cells from which the cancer originated. That's why it is very difficult to treat cancer, because so many times the histopathological slides or the sections not revealing which cancer it is. So which the normal cells, these cells are de-differentiated to give rise to these tumors. So even in leukemia, that's what immature WBC. Immature WBC, you cannot categorize into any type of the lymphocyte, neutrophils or basophils, like that you can see. So the continuous growth and maintenance of many normal tissue such as skin, gastrointestinal epithelium, hematopoietic cells in bone marrow depends on stem cells that are capable of self-renewal. They are constantly replaced. This is called self-renewal. They have that capacity. Even the cancer cells also having this capacity. So because of this de-differentiation process. So the cancer cells within a tumor may be de-differentiate to stem cells like state. De-differentiation plays a main role in tumor initiation, progression and phenotypic diversity and immortality, all these property because of this de-differentiation of these cancer cells. De-differentiation is also linked to the genetic and epigenetic abnormalities and tumor environment. Tumor cells behave abnormally. It is you have already studied the difference between tumor cells and the normal cells. All these because of de-differentiation. So this de-differentiation is because of any external agents, any carcinogens, infections, or the bodily inflammations, anything, they may induce de-differentiation in the somatic cells, and that is once de-differentiation initiated, it is the signaling is get altered, and this may lead to the cancerous development. De-differentiation is well recognized in sarcoma, liposarcoma, chondrosarcoma and nerve tumors, intestinal tumors and different types of cancers. This is how de-differentiation leading to cancer. Thank you.